Ambassador too.
The Christmas lights for London's tallest building, the Shard, were switched on last night. They're honouring the NHS and key workers illuminating the skyscraper in NHS blue and white. That's the BBC News at 3:03.
Available now on BBC Sounds.
Every country, every nation, we're realising that we're all in the same boat.
This is What Planet Are We On? It's a brand new podcast from the BBC. It's about climate change and how we live on this planet.
Think of your children's grandchildren and how they'll look back on us. Are we going to be the generation that actually is proud of what we did in that moment?
We want to unravel the impact we're having on the world and what we can all do about it.
We've been digging up and burning coal and gas and oil, which is wrapping an extra blanket around our planet.
What planet are we on?
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is BBC 5 Live, available on the BBC Sounds app with Dotun Adebayo.
You know, Watchman, and thanks for all your texts and emails. Richard in Stockport said, discriminating against accents. Seriously, that's a step too far, I think. How on earth could you prove that? How would you even know it had happened to you? Yeah, that is the problem with racial discrimination, sexual discrimination, disability discrimination. You scratch your head and think, did that really happen to me? But I suppose if you know, he who knows feels it, or he who feels it knows it. Much better the other way around. But thank you for that. 85058 by text, by the way. You can get in contact anytime you want. 85058. You can drop me an email, dotun, D-O-T-U-N, @bbc.co.uk. Liz in Hull says, in the 70s, when your caller said she grew up, mothers could stay at home with their children because people didn't have mortgages to worry about paying. Rents were more affordable. That was Hazel in Manchester saying why people go out now to work rather than stay at home with their children. Discriminating against accents is a question that we've been asking you. It's one of the dilemmas we're talking about this morning, because in France it's become illegal. And should it be illegal here? This thing. Have you ever been discriminated against because of your accent? And do you wish that you spent more time with your children if you've got children, or when you were growing up, do you wish your parents had spent more time with you? What would the difference have been? Because a lot of parents have had to spend more time with their children over this pandemic period, and they quite like it, but what's the benefits, or otherwise, to children's question? Oh yeah, and we're talking about accents, like I say. Donald says, I have to do it in a Scottish accent. Do you want to hear my Scottish? No, I can't actually. I might go to jail for this in France. Dawson Laddie, do you know what a erotic accent is? No, I don't. I thought you'd said cow singing, but what you'd said was cow singing, and what you meant was carol singing, and what you performed sounded like a cow singing. That is so poetic, Donald. How did you do that? Oh my word. Thank you. Sal says the human condition, which came up as part of the conversation that I was having earlier on with Annie in Peterborough, saying, well, the human condition requires hugs and kisses, doesn't it, essentially? Sal says the human condition, and I was trying to explain what the human condition was. Yeah, last person you want to explain. I got a 2-2 in my philosophy class, which is like a Desmond, we call it. Do you remember Archbishop Desmond? 2-2. The human condition is an instinct, it's not an emotion. But what would your reaction be if you haven't seen adult children, grandchildren or parents for a long time? You would go to hug them or comfort them. It's in our DNA, we were born with, and now due to the pandemic we're losing bonds with other people, family or not. We are tribal, always have been since all the time. I think the DNA might be kind of human condition. That might be a way of short change or defining the human condition, DNA, by the way. So, and this one as well, Dodson, lovely behind the scenes team. Yes, they are lovely. Thank you for saying that. They'll be pleased. And tonight the team they're all male tonight, strangely. So we've got Phil, who's the boss. We've got Adam, who is the boss's lean-to. Is that the right way of describing it? I apologise, Adam. And then we've got Liam, without whom this programme... Oh, Liam and Scott, without whom this programme could not be possible. They're the real bosses, obviously. Dotton and lovely behind-the-scenes team. This is from a many years regular listener. Have I got the correct text messaging number? Dawson gives the other numbers out regularly, but really the messaging number Well, you managed to get the right number. It's 85058 for text. Thank you very much. Let's speak to Dorothy in Leicestershire. We'll speak to Ted in Hastings and Dennis in Portsmouth in a moment or two. Dorothy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
Very well, thanks very much. I'm not sure about my ability to go carol singing. The government says we can go carol singing as long as we keep the social distance. Yeah.
Everybody can sing. Anybody can.
Not sure about that. Not sure. Have you heard me singing lately?
I've heard you singing, but then again, you're not doing it properly, are you?
This is the point.
About.
Yeah. No. No. Does it sound like I'm mucking about? Are you serious? No. I'm actually trying to sound like Elvis Presley when I said, "Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell." I'm trying to, but I just can't do it. You know.
Wait a minute, you've got to keep practicing at it.
I have for the last 50 years, and it seems to be getting worse.
I've been practicing singing since. I'm in my 80s, so don't you worry about being 50 years. You're just a baby.
But are you carol singing as well? Have you been carol singing?
I did when I was a little girl, and we got chased away.
Really?
This was wartime, so we were outside in the early evening, and we were saying about our neighbour's son came home on leave. And his mum was so excited, and he was her favourite son. He was to that moment anyway. And so we thought, well, can we go carol singing? Oh, we'd go and sing at Mrs. Dennis, because she'd be ever so happy because her son is home. So, it'd be good. So don't ask me what carol it was we sang, but you see, what you used to do, you used to sing the first line, and then you'd knock the door. So you'd wait for them to ask you, didn't sing a whole carol singing, nobody opened the door. But she came out of the door like a bat out of hell, and we raced up the garden path, jumped over the gate. We didn't have time to open it. We had to jump over it. We were laughing and carrying on. And she was shouting out, coming and disturbing them. But we thought we were being very kind. Singing to them.
Why did she not say kindly to you? Because obviously you're coming bringing festive cheer. How come she never appreciated it? What did you lot do to make her come out of her door like a bat out of hell?
Well, we were just singing, and she didn't want it.
She didn't want it, yeah. So is it better to ask permission from people?
No, you don't do that. You just take your chance.
But if you knocked on the door...
Pays your money and takes your chance. That's what goes on.
That's what they say. But I was just wondering, if you, instead of singing the first line and then knocking on the door, if you had, and which is a good tip, by the way, it's a very good tip, but if you had knocked on the door first and said, whatever, silent night, oh...
Well, you see, where I lived, after I was married in the flat, the chap downstairs, when you hear the children coming, and they'd do the line and then knock the door, and he used to come out and open the door. He said, that was very nice, now sing the rest to me. And he used to make that, we might even invite me and say, because it's only children, it wasn't any organised thing, and they'd have to come indoors and sing the whole hymn all the way through.
And would you know all the lyrics? Would you know all the lyrics, or do you just prepare the first, or the verse, or the chorus rather?
Well, when I go to a carol service, which I haven't been for a few years now because I can't get out and about, but it was a case of we just go along to the carol service and you just sing with them, and as the music's going, and when I used to go shopping with my friends, we used to be going around the shops at Christmas with the carols being played, and we'd be singing. And then some man said to me one day, you don't use it.
People can be so cruel. Why are people that cruel? I would never have said that. I would have just said...
I don't care, you see. You can say what they like, because I just feel so... If you don't like it, just go over there. Don't stay near me.
Or do what you did. Or do what you did very elegantly, I must say. When I started singing Silent Night, you just changed the subject and started talking about something else. I only got as far as Silent Night.
Holy night, holy rest, holy bright. I'm losing my voice a bit now.
No, you're not. That was beautiful.
So there it is.
Do you fancy taking it up again?
Well, we just used to sing. I mean, I'm always singing. Drive everybody mad, even when I worked. And I used to work doing figures all day, but I could still sing while I was doing it.
What makes me think that I know that feeling? I used to sing, but it drove everybody mad. The amount of texts that I get when I open my gob, like you've done very elegantly, the amount of texts I get. For the love of God, Dotun, no! That's what I get. Ted in Hastings, good morning.
Oh, good morning, Dotun.
Let me just say thank you to Dorothy in Leicestershire. Apologise. But Ted, it's the first time you've ever called me.
Yeah, I've never ever found a radio station, no.
Never?
And I must say, I thought your last caller, it was absolutely excellent. It's put a long-awaited smile on my face. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I
so
thoroughly enjoy your show as well. It really is excellent. Although I haven't been a team member for a long while, but it's going to be part of me now to
I hope so.
Come on to this station every night and listen. It's been most enjoyable.
I hope so. Thank you. That's very kind of you.
Educational as well.
Oh, I really hope so. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to say. But let's talk about serious things. You know, the first of our dilemmas this evening was about social distancing over Christmas. How will that be possible? I've asked people over and over again.
Well, yeah, you know, I'm really looking from a personal point of view. I really feel that this social distancing, there's also a lot of emotional problems here with people like myself. I won't keep you long, obviously, as they've got loads of callers. But
no, you take your time. Please, take your time.
Okay, thank you. Bit nervous, obviously. Back in March, when the pandemic first started, I lost my dear wife of 40 years. We was 42 years together, and it was our 40th anniversary on the 15th of this month. It really, really hurt. Obviously, it would do small funeral, lockdown, etc. My wife would have been 59 on the 20th of April. That was another really, really bad day. 4 days later, I lost my mother of 61 years. We went through the same scenario again as a family. Another sort of really small funeral. I obviously managed personally to get through that. And since then, I've basically almost been on my own. I've had my boys around. They do come and see me with my daughter-in-laws, etc. I've got a granddaughter as well, which I love very dearly. She's 5, just 6 now. And I'm thinking about the actual emotional side of things and the stress you go through. And I don't feel sorry for myself. I actually realise there's a lot of people all over the world who have got a lot worse problems than me and worse circumstances. But I just feel that I need to be close to someone. I want to cuddle someone. I want to hug someone. And my boys and daughter-in-laws have been around and they're constantly washing their hands and sanitising. And I've had a pat on the back. I've got many cuddles, you know, just... But my granddaughter, we was out in our little patio garden, and this is in sort of April, and she was so close to my beautiful wife, and I was growing tomato plants, and I said, Poppy, look at this tomato plant, look how high it's growing. It's going to be beautiful. And she said, Grandad, maybe it can grow to the sky and bring Nanny back. What could I do? My head fell back. My hands grabbed the fence. I tried to hold tears back. I had to pick her up. My emotional side of me, I didn't know what to do. I had to pick her up and cuddle her. She's my life. And I think to myself, everyone is going on about, well, you mustn't touch people, you mustn't cuddle them. If there was a Holocaust, if there's a world war, and it's on us. It's on us. What's the first thing you do? You grab the ones you love, not someone from the other side of the world. You grab people you love, you hug them and cuddle them. And I just feel that it's everyone's emotions, you know. We all know people that have died. I actually don't know anyone that's died from COVID. I actually don't. But I feel for people. I feel for the nurses, the National Health. But I feel for the elderly. It's this what I've gone through has opened my eyes as a 61-year-old man, and I'm still relatively fit and healthy, and I work, I try to keep cheery. I'm looking for company. I would pay for company, but I find people to talk to. I just go out and find people to talk to. I'll just bump into them. Good morning, how are you? I just keep myself going, just keep active, just keep focused. But there will come a time when you want to grab someone and go, I'm thinking back to your first caller, Lynn, and I can understand what she was saying about her mother talking outside the window, but the first thing she said was, my business has been affected. No, don't worry about your business. Your business is a business. The government are trying to help. We'll get through business. You've got some food in the cupboard. You know, let's defer a mortgage payment. Don't keep worrying about business. Worry about your mother. This is more important. You're only going to get one chance. And if you've got to cuddle someone or hug someone, please do so. Well, you know, if someone's got the flu, or they had the flu years ago before this come out, my children would come around. Oh, I can't give you a kiss, Dad, because I've got a really bad cold. They're aware of it. They're adults. You don't have to educate them. They can educate themselves. I hope you got all that.
I got all of that. And you know, you kind of explained to us. I have to go back. Let me take one step back. The story that you told about your granddaughter, and that would have put a lump in everybody's throat. Nobody is going to find that you.
I'm sure they will.
Nobody's going to knock you for
I'm sure
your
they
reaction. Will. No, but because you responded as you respond, as people respond, and I can totally understand. What I want to know, first of all, taking a step back, is you kind of have told us, but I get the feeling that we are reserved. We Brits are reserved. How would you say that you're coping with what has been a terrible year in particular for you? How are you coping, really coping?
Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm emulating my wife. I'm cleaning. I'm constantly cleaning. I'm cooking. I'm finding out how to cook really nice meals. The only thing I haven't found out to do on a brighter note is, please someone teach me how to iron. I've bought an ironing board, I haven't took the cover off yet. Because making beds and ironing is a drama. And changing a quilt, well, someone told me, pull it inside out, pinch this corner, pinch that corner. I have tried every trick in the book. I end up with it all over me, and I'm in a mess. But I keep my chin up. I try to focus. Everything I do, I think, what would Tracy want? What would my wife want? She wouldn't want me like this. She'd want me to look after Poppy. She'd want me to focus and keep strong and just try. That's why I go to work. I have to get out and get about. Actually, to be honest, I'm a drinker. I've had pubs in South East London for the last sort of 18 years. I've run 3 or 4 pubs which were leased and moved up to Hastings. That's another story. I've had hundreds and hundreds of people around me. I've seen young babies grow up into adults, and I've seen all this side of life, every side of life, violence, love, tears. I've been to so many funerals, my customers, but now I've got such a soft heart. I'm really feeling that, you know, I might take this a bit further. I don't know who to ring, because I'm telling my own family, even my boys, they're all in their 30s, they're fit. They go to the gym, they've got good jobs, they're nice lads. I brought them up right, and then they're munded, not so much me. But I sort of try to tell them, you know, just think positive. You've lost your mum, but I've lost the main thing ever in my life. I can't tell you how close we were. No rows, never split up. Run a decent life, decent people. But I just sort of, I can't, it's so hard for me to explain how I'm coping, because I'm focused every day. When I'm driving to work, you know, I might drive 50, 60 miles. I can't not focus because it could be dangerous. And I think about other people. I'm courteous and polite. And it's just, for someone that, like, born and bred, I was born in Brixton, lived in Stockport, Battersea, Peckham, South East London, had pubs. I've done it all. I've never really been in any trouble, you know, but I just try to install it to people now. It's like, be nice to each other, be kind to each other, and if you've got to do something, you've got to do it. You can't bottle them emotions up. I sit there and cry on my own. Your radio station tonight, there's some beautiful music. When one comes on that reminds me of my wife, tears come in my eyes. It's because of the way I am. It's the man I am, or the man I'm not, whatever way anyone wants to look at it. I'll keep trying, and I won't give up.
Mate, thank you for calling, Ted. Really, really appreciate it. You know you've got a wonderful family around you, and that gives me, and I'm sure everybody listening to this, some comfort. And, you know, overnight, we are a family, aren't we? We are a family, those of us who listen to the radio overnight. I don't care which station you listen to. Obviously, this station is the best one. But I genuinely mean it, that you're never alone. So, Ted, come and give me a hug any night you want. You know, if you need to. And come and give us a hug any night you want. And I'm saying that to everybody, not just Ted in Hastings. Really, what a call. And thank you, Ted. You've been very sort of generous with your time and your frankness. That's real talk. You know, we can talk as much as we like about how the pandemic is affecting us and everything. But the real talk is with us individually. Every call tells a story. Thank you, Ted. Really appreciate it. Dennis in Portsmouth is with us. Hello, Dennis. How are you?
Hello, Dalton. Again, you saying well? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You're saying well, Dalton.
Thank you.
I'm in my 70s now. I grew up like without much hugging, well, no hugging and kissing at all, really. Hugging is something of recent years to me, you know.
Yeah.
So my mother and father were feel guilty about saying this, but they were rowing, you know. We had quite a miserable time, although we were looked after, we had quite a miserable time at home, a lot of the time, you know. And anyway, this Christmas is going to be a bit different for me this year. I'm on my own. The last 3 or 4 years, I've gone on Christmas Day to... I live in a very big estate just outside Portsmouth. There's an excellent school here, and they do a school Christmas dinner for the day.
Yeah.
And a few oldies like me. I'm one of the veterans of the estate, one of the founding fathers, if you like. And it's nice to mix with all the young families, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a good day. They're volunteers. It's all run by volunteers. They come out and pick you up if you need a lift. The volunteers use the school kitchen and do the cooking. Local supermarkets and shops and businesses contribute gifts, you know, free gifts for people. And although we're classed as a deprived area, I don't personally feel deprived. I don't need a free dinner, you know, or free gift, but it's nice to go, you know.
Oh, of course, to be part of the community as well. You are...
a big family, really.
Yes.
And we've had a recent disaster on Sunday. There was a bad fire and 4 families are homeless. So it's an added thing this year. People have already started coming to get all the gifts and everything, the food, supporting them, you know. And
isn't that the most beautiful thing, Dennis? The human spirit, when we rally together to support, you know, those amongst us who are in need. It's the most beautiful thing I know. It's more beautiful than the sun and the stars and everything. You know, when people do that, something touches me very deeply, emotionally.
Yeah, so I've had sort of health problems this year, you know. But I've got arthritis quite badly, so I've got a mobility problem. But people are so kind to me, you know. I don't really deserve it, I don't think, but...
No, you do. You do. We all deserve it. We all deserve a little bit of kindness, you know. We all deserve that. But everybody else deserves it as well. So we have to also return some kindness, don't we?
But Christmas Day, I won't see anybody, you know. Nobody would call on me.
Nobody?
No, and, well, this year I shall have my usual Meals on Wheels, you know. That would be the only call I should get. But I don't want anybody feeling sorry for me, you know. It won't be that bad. I've spent most of my life on my own, really. But
Dennis, you're not on your own, you know, because, in fact, let me nail this down now, okay? Do you remember a few days ago, some of you will remember, I said inadvertently on air that don't worry, I've taken the time off. I'm not going to take any time off over Christmas. I will be here. And I'll be here over Christmas.
I do, yes.
Yeah, then my colleague said to me, whoa, do you not know, Dawson, that we're not actually broadcasting live on Christmas Day? Well, funny enough, I called up our boss the next day and I said, do you know, I think that's a mistake. I want to be live on air on Christmas Day because there are many of our listeners who are going to be on their own. And I've said on air, no, you don't have to be on your own because we are a family together and I'll be here. And my boss, funny enough, my boss is here tonight, you know. Our boss is here tonight. Phil, Mr. Wells, would you like to come towards the microphone? Do you mind? I know you wouldn't normally do this, but let's get this, because you haven't given me a definitive answer now. And I think people want to know. Dennis, you want to know, don't you, whether we'll be live on air on Christmas Day? Do you want to know?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, let's get the boss in the studio. Phil, do you mind stepping up to the microphone? Don't be shy now, because I'm sure everybody wants to know. And actually, it would help if everybody listening who wants us to be on air live on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Christmas Eve, text him right now on 85058 if you've got the opportunity to text. Or email Dotun, D-O-T-U-N, at bbc.co.uk. His name's Phil. Phil, you don't mind me giving out your name, do you? Do you? Okay, yeah. Okay, apparently we're working on it. He doesn't mind me giving out his name. No. Yeah, he's too shy. Yeah, right. Anyway, so this is my challenge to everybody. I want as many people as possible to just text 85058 if you would like us to be live on air instead of recordings throughout the Christmas period. I'm happy to give up my time for that. I'm happy to, because, as I said, we are a family. And the last two calls, and thank you for calling, Dennis, by the way, I don't want you to be on your own. And you know, I don't want anybody to be on their own or feel that they're on their own this Christmas, and you're never on your own if we are here live. You'd agree with that. 85058 would be a great Christmas, actually. We'd have some fascinating conversations, those of us who would otherwise be on our own because we're social distancing or otherwise. It would be a fantastic conversation. We will have a lot of fun. So text now on 85058 if you want this program to be live over the Christmas period. Say, Phil, don't be shy. Make sure we're live over Christmas. Just say yeah. Phil, yes, every time. You can email him through me, Dotun, D-O-T-U-N, at bbc.co.uk. Let's see how many people say yes to that. Dennis, thank you. Lenny in Ashford, I'll come to you in just a moment. It's 3:32. by the way.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Yeah, my colleagues couldn't wait to whack in that theme for the news there. But what I was going to say, by the way, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble for what I've just done over the last few minutes. But that's okay. It's time for the latest news on BBC Radio 5 Live. The government's decision to place nearly all of England under the 2 highest levels of coronavirus restrictions when the lockdown ends next Wednesday looks set to face a significant challenge in Parliament. A number of Conservative MPs are known to be unhappy about the decision. Pilot a new blood test designed to detect more than 50% of cancer at an early stage. More than 140,000 patients will be offered the test. New research suggests there's been a dramatic increase in feelings of loneliness amongst the parents of young children during lockdown. A study commissioned by the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's Royal Foundation heard from more than 500,000 people on the challenges of bringing up children under the age of 5. And this year, the festive lights adorning London's tallest building, the Shard, honour NHS and key workers. Medical workers switched on the display last night. All 20 stories of the skyscraper were lit up with nearly 600 lights in NHS blue and white with rainbow-inspired accents. 20 stories? I'm sure the Shard is much taller than that. Anyway, a Morse code message spelt out thank you. Let's get the latest 5 Live Sport now with Ade Adedoyin.
Thanks, Dotun. The world of sports continues to mourn the death of Diego Maradona. One of his former clubs, Napoli, were in action in the Europa League last night. Before kick-off, the Napoli players wore his iconic number 10 jersey as a tribute. They won the match against Croatia's HNK Rijeka 2-0. Tottenham are on course to qualify for the knockout phase of the competition after a 4-0 win against Ludogorets. After the game, Jose Mourinho paid this tribute to Maradona.
I feel sorry that I didn't spend more time with him. I would love. I think his family, his big friends, his colleagues, they are very privileged to spend and to know Diego well. I know him well enough. In my big defeats, he would always call me. In my victories, never. But I will miss Diego, and I still, of course, I'm very sad, but I have a smile because with him, every minute I spent with him was to laugh.
In the night's other ties, Arsenal and Leicester City booked their spots in the knockout stage. Rangers remain on course to progress after a 2-2 draw against Benfica, while the Scottish champions Celtic are out after a second successive 4-1 defeat to Sparta Prague. That's 4 defeats in 9 games in all competitions for Celtic. Here's their manager, Neil Lennon.
I've been in situations like this before as a manager. I've been in situations like this as a player. So there's no reason for me to believe that we won't turn it around. They're an excellent group. I think they're just lacking a little bit of unity at the minute. I don't know if it's because we're living through a pandemic and it's not normal. There's things that are maybe out of the control a little bit.
To Formula One now, and ahead of this weekend's Bahrain Grand Prix, world champion Lewis Hamilton says the F1 needs to do more to try to improve human rights issues in some of its host countries.
The human rights issue in so many of the places that we go to is a consistent and a massive problem, and I think it showed this year how important it is for not only us as a sport but all the sports around the world to utilise the platforms they have to push for change. And naturally we are probably one of the only ones actually that goes to so many different countries. I do think as a sport we need to do more. I think we've taken a step in that direction, but we can always do more.
At the UK Snooker Championship in Milton Keynes, defending champion Ding Junhui is through to the second round, but says he wouldn't feel comfortable if fans were allowed in to watch next week.
I'm not sure yet. If in the semi-final or quarter-final, I have no chance to pull out in tournaments. I have to go for it. But I'm not fully concentration on the table. Somebody coughing behind me.
World number 1 Judd Trump is also through to the second round. In Rugby League tonight, Wigan Warriors take on St Helens in the Super League Grand Final. And England's T20 side starts a 3-game series against South Africa in Cape Town later. It gets on the way at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
On BBC iPlayer.
The punk movement changed music forever.
No more heroes anymore.
I'm Annie Nicely. When I took over presenting the Old Grey Whistle Test, it was seen as anti-punk.
I'm bored.
All I wanted to do was get some of the most significant artists on the show.
Here with us tonight, Susie and the Banshees.
Punk New Wave Years with Annie Nightingale.
And this is my personal look at some of the finest and most intriguing moments from that time.
Streaming now on BBC iPlayer.
First for news and the best live sport. This is BBC 5 Live with Dotun Adebayo.
The Night Watchman, and wow is all I can say. Your response by text and emails to the suggestion that we could hopefully be live over the Christmas period when so many people are lonely has been amazing. It really is amazing. And tonight of all nights, it's really important because the boss is in tonight. And give you a taste of what you've been saying. Thanks, says Lloyd, who says live. The interaction between you and your callers is what makes your programme the best. It's very kind of you to say. You shouldn't be in trouble for going live, says our listener. The NHS are working over the break, so why not us? Yeah. Apparently I'm not in trouble, but you never know. Apparently I'm not in trouble at the moment as we speak. Yeah, the boss has just told me that. Please let Dotun broadcast live over Christmas. Need to be live over Christmas. There are a lot of lonely people out there. Thank you for that. Phil, please be live on air on Christmas Day. I'm sure the lovely listeners would be thrilled. Merry Christmas to you all, says Pip in Preston. I'll read out as many of your texts and emails as I can over the next hour and a bit of the programme, hour 40 minutes or so of the programme. Look, let's just remind you of the big news over in Argentina. I don't need to tell you what this is. Thousands of people have been paying their respects to Diego Maradona, who's lying in state in the Argentine presidential palace in Buenos Aires. Ozzy Ardiles, once upon a time of Tottenham in Argentina, has described him as a genius. Pelé says the world has lost a legend, while Lionel Messi, who is arguably the new Maradona for many people, says he will never leave us because Diego is eternal.
He has Burruchaga to his left and Valdano to his left. He won't need any of them. Oh, you have to say that's magnificent.
Yeah, over and over again. You watch those clips of Maradona dribbling past people and scoring over and over again, and you have to say that is magnificent every single time. Maradona scoring one of the greatest goals ever seen at the World Cup against England there in Mexico '86. Gary Lineker played against him that day, and he's been telling BBC Sport correspondent Natalie Rincon, how he would like to remember one of the greatest ever players to grace the game.
I think my overriding memory of Diego Maradona will be with the football and the magic that he could construe, the wizardry within his feet, particularly his left foot. Of course, he rarely used his right foot, but he was like a magician with the ball. He could do things that mere mortals couldn't do. He had a vision that mere mortals didn't have. He was fiercely competitive. He was a natural leader. Obviously, he had troubles off the field, but the memories that will stick with me are the magnificence of his football.
Obviously, you were incredibly lucky to have played against him, but also have spent time in his company. Was there almost two different people? The person you played against, but the person that was kind and...
Well, it was alluded to, wasn't it, in a documentary I saw recently where there was a Diego and there was a Maradona. The on-field freedom that you could see he was at his happiest was on the field of play, and then he obviously had his troubles off the pitch, his addictions, etc. Many geniuses are flawed, and perhaps without that element to his personality, to that character, we wouldn't have seen the greatness that we saw on the field. For me, will be certainly one of the greatest players of all time, if not the greatest player of all time. It's always impossible to compare people from different eras. We should just enjoy them for what they are, but he has to be up there, there's no question about that.
Obviously, England fans will always talk about that match, casually sometimes forgetting that the second goal was probably the best that we'd ever seen in a World Cup. What was it like to play in that match and against him?
Well, it was a tough game for us to play in, of course, but it was an extraordinarily important game in many ways. It's a quarter-final of a World Cup. Obviously, the two countries had been in a war just a few years prior to that, the Falklands. So there was a lot of pressure on both sides that came from outside. that was not important to us. All that was important to us was winning a football game. But we were up against a very strong team with some great players, and definitely the greatest player in the world at the time. He was by a distance the best player in that era. But you saw both sides of Diego in that game. You know, that was his personality, that impish, cheeky, we call it cheating here and stuff, but he got away with it, obviously. And then the second goal was a goal I think is the greatest ever scored by anybody ever, because you have to take in the importance of the situation, the importance of the game, the fact that it was a World Cup quarter-final. To do what he did was breathtaking. There have been similar goals since. I've seen Messi score one very similar, but it wasn't in a World Cup quarter-final. I think those few minutes between the two goals probably summed up his life in many ways.
Yeah, Gary Lineker there paying tribute to Diego Maradona. The journalist Lucia Hay is based in Buenos Aires, and she joins us now. Lucia, wow, what a couple of days it's been. I can only imagine in Buenos Aires.
Hi, Dutton. Yes, it's been a national day of mourning, and it will extend for days and weeks, this sadness that is overreaching all types of people in Argentina, young, old, women, men, people who saw Diego during his top years, during the '86 World Cup, during his best years in football, and those people who didn't see his best years and also just heard these stories from their parents and grandparents. So everyone in Argentina is mourning. It started last night after the news were announced. Everyone came out to their balconies at 10 p.m., started clapping, started singing chants, and it really felt as if the whole country just woke up to honor Maradona. And of course, today was a whole day of mourning when his coffin was displayed publicly at the presidential palace, which already tells you something, right? It wasn't displayed at a football stadium. It wasn't displayed in his hometown. It was displayed in the presidential palace in the heart of Buenos Aires, and hundreds of thousands of people lined up in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of cases going up in Argentina. Everyone went to pay their respects to Diego Maradona, because, you hear this very often, and people in Argentina say Diego to us is a god, and that is not exaggeration. People in Argentina feel like their god is gone. So that's the feeling overall around the country.
And it took a moment, didn't it, for his death to register? Because I remember Wednesday early evening over here, our time, it must have been afternoon, your time, when the news broke, or late morning. And I, first of all, waited for the reaction in Argentina. Arguably, the reaction in the European club that is associated with Naples, Napoli, the reaction there was instant. It was instant, and it was almost as if Argentina, when you get news like this, it doesn't quite hit you immediately. For me, am I right in that description? It took a moment or two, or a few hours for it to sink in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that part of it is because people, again, see him as a god, and to them it's so hard to grasp on the idea that he's not here anymore. So it did take a while for people to really fall into that idea. And I spoke to a lot of people today, and they were saying, I just woke up and hoped that it was just a bad dream, So it definitely took a long time to fall. And I think people, the mourning and realizing that he's not here anymore will definitely take weeks and even years for the Argentine society to get by this. And I think what's interesting is that it's not only the football fans who are mourning, it's not only the, very passionate Argentine football players and fans who are sad about this. It's a whole society. I spoke today with, a school teacher who was saying, when I see the kids I'm teaching, I see what Diego means to them and what it means in terms of accomplishing a dream. I spoke to a 14-year-old teenager who was telling me, I feel like I know Diego Maradona and that he's so important in my life because my parents, when they tell me these stories, they're just so happy when they tell them. So it is all of society. And I think I can't think of anyone else who would have this impact in Argentina and in the rest of the world after passing out.
And when you say the whole of society, you're including River Plate fans as well?
Yes, absolutely. So we've talked about this before, Dutton, and I'm a River Plate fan. And people like me, people who today were on the streets in front of the presidential palace wearing the River Plate t-shirt and hugging people with their Boca Juniors t-shirt. Boca Juniors, of course, being one of the clubs Maradona played at. And those two teams have the most aggressive rivalry in football in Argentina. And just the image of people wearing those two t-shirts, holding themselves, hugging, and just sharing deeply their sorrow, I think is very powerful. And again, it crosses any type of polarization here in Argentina, no matter whether you're, leftist or right-wing, no matter whether you're a young girl or an old man, no matter whether you're from River or from Boca, this news of Maradona passing away is really hitting everyone really deeply.
No matter if you're a saint or a sinner, the Pope has commented on Maradona's death and is praying for Maradona. The Pope.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think one of the things that makes Maradona so powerful is not only that he, of course, was an incredible football player, probably the best or one of the best in history, but also because people feel that he is very relatable too. The fact that he grew up in a slum just outside the city of Buenos Aires and made his way up to where he was, right? Become a world idol, global idol, known everywhere across the world. Being able to grow from that slum to a global idol, that to many people is extremely inspirational. And the other, I think, interesting fact is, as you might know, during the last few years, Maradona, of course, wasn't a perfect person at all. He had a lot of controversies regarding drug abuse, regarding affairs, regarding smoking and tobacco consumption. So he wasn't a perfect person, but to a lot of people I spoke with today, that meant that he was also very human and that he was also very relatable and that he represented all the best in Argentine society, which was the passion, the energy, the grit, but also all that's bad in Argentine society. So making mistakes, falling into these types of addictions, cheating sometimes. So I think that's why his image is also so powerful. He was a god on one hand, but at the same time, he was deeply flawed and deeply human.
May I apologize for the next question?
Yes.
You will know that we're probably the only country in the world, England rather than Britain, by the way, England is probably the only country in the world that has a caveat about him being a god. We would say, well, he was certainly blessed with the hand of God. And I wonder, and forgive me, like I say, I don't want to, for me, this isn't the point about Diego Maradona, but I wonder nevertheless, when people are talking about his brilliance, no doubt, is umbilically tied somewhat to the first goal, which lots of people in England very, not very pleased about, to be polite. I wonder how is that goal looked upon in Argentina? I imagine they've shown that goal when they've been replaying his greatest moments as well. How do they relate in Argentina to that goal? What does it signify in the story of Diego Maradona for people in Argentina?
I think, at least in Argentina, people just idealize that moment. To them, I would say very few people would say that, would question that goal as people in England might. And that moment, that instant, that image has become the symbol of Diego Maradona and has become for many the symbol of Argentine greatness, if you might put it one way. There are hundreds of songs that have been written about that specific moment, the mano de Dios, the hand of God. And it is deeply ingrained in Argentine culture.
Folklore, and you call it folklore as well? Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say anyone in Argentina you ask about the hand of God, they know what it means. And it is exactly, people just idealize that moment. And with regards to the point that you were making, I think that in Argentina, people really also appreciated people were calling it today, some people I talked with were calling it the viveza criolla. So the Argentine, what's it called? It's like playfulness, the ability to, play just a bit against the rules to get what you want. So they don't see it as a negative thing. They see it as a positive thing.
Lucia, thank you very much. Lucia Hay there in Buenos Aires. Thank you also for all your sweet messages online by text on 85058 or email dotun, D-O-T-U-N, at bbc.co.uk with regards to us hopefully broadcasting throughout the Christmas period, live as it were. One of the texts says, yes, Dotun, and bring your lovely wife Carol in so that we can have some carol singing. Do you get it? Well, I'll get it in the ear, in the neck when I go home and suggest that, but you never know. She might smile at me on that one, just because you've shown me so much love tonight. I'm eternally grateful to you, every single person who is listening tonight and who has taken the time out as well to say yes for a Christmas overnight program live here on 5 Live. Lenny is in Ashford, and Lenny, thank you. You've been waiting so patiently. Thank you very much.
Well, you know me, Doc, and I've got more patience than my doctor.
At this time of the morning, that's a very good one, I must say. Spike Milligan would have been proud of you for that one. And,
yeah,
and
well,
Derek
you know me, we've
well.
had many debates over the years.
Yeah,
we have.
Indeed, we have. And
yeah,
not least,
we've got to try and find the light-hearted side of life.
Of course. Not least debates about, because you were at one point standing as a politician up in Cumbria, weren't you? You're going to move up there, as I recall.
No, you've got the wrong one, mate.
I'm confusing it. No, apologies, Lenny. I'm thinking about Spain, aren't I? I'm thinking about Spain, your house in Spain and whatnot. That is, and I apologise, I got that confused, but I know which Lenny it is now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem.
So let's talk about your granddaughter, maybe?
Yes. Well, communication is the number one priority in any business. And it's all right people saying, I demand a job as a receptionist, but I'm Scottish or I'm Welsh or whatever, or I'm Jamaican with a strong accent. That doesn't matter. It does. Now, my granddaughter wanted to come and work for me. And I said, right, come in on Saturday mornings and I'll see how you go. And I said, I said, you can start being a receptionist and answer the phone. And she spoke very, very quickly. And I stood next to her for the first Saturday morning and I said, right. And every time I had to keep taking the phone away from her and take over the phone call.
Really?
And
Why?
Then what happened on the second Saturday, I told her to go home and with her mum sit down and learn to talk properly and clearly. And when she came back the following Saturday morning, within an hour, I sacked her and sent her home.
Your granddaughter?
Yes, I said you are no good to me or anyone else unless you work properly. I said my business survives on communication. And the first point of communication is the person answering the phone.
Yeah.
I said now, and that was it. and I sacked her.
But time is money. Isn't it better to have an employee that speaks fast and doesn't waste your time or your money, so to speak?
No, you've got to be. You're not getting the thing. Priority is that when you answer the phone, someone can understand what they're saying. It's like if I was having a conversation with you now, and one of us couldn't understand the other, isn't a waste of time phoning up.
Well, no, because I'd say slow down, speak a bit clearer, because I can't understand you. Were your customers complaining about the speed that she was speaking at? Because maybe they preferred it because time is money.
I had to take the phone away from her and do her job for her.
You didn't have to.
And I had to apologise to the customer. I said, I'm very sorry, we've got a trainee in, and please, and so I didn't lose business, I had to take the phone away from her.
Why not just say, look, she's my granddaughter, apologies, she speaks a bit fast, but she's doing a good job.
No, you've got to get in the world of reality, Dotton. Some people, if I wasn't in the office, that is business lost. And when I ran my business, I had overdrafts and my house was the collateral. So if I didn't have a business, I lost my house.
What did your granddaughter think then? Her granddad is sacking her. You're not allowed to do that as a granddad to your granddaughter, are you? So what did she make?
Yeah, because I put her in reality. That's what it is. No one lives in reality. And what it is, there's no point in having anyone on reception to answer the phone and the other person cannot understand what you're saying. It's a waste of time. You've got to run a business so that the communication goes both ways, and it can be. There's no point sorting an appointment out, and the person don't know what time they got to come.
You're absolutely right in that respect, and I do understand what you're saying. I do 100% understand, but the idea that a granddad would sack his granddaughter, obviously you've got to make the decision, like you say, you're running a business, not a charity, not even for your granddaughter. But that is hardcore, isn't it? That's real talk, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, granddad sacking his granddaughter? Lenny, I love you, man. Call me anytime.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
BBC News at 4 o'clock, this is James Kelly. The government's decision to place nearly all of England under the two highest levels of coronavirus restrictions when the lockdown ends next Wednesday looks set to face a significant challenge in Parliament. A number of Conservative MPs are known to be unhappy about the decision. They include 7 from Kent who've expressed extreme disappointment that the toughest measures have been imposed on their county. The drugs company AstraZeneca says it wants to carry out further research on the impact of using a lower dosage of the vaccine it's developed with Oxford University. The move follows the accidental discovery that the jab appears to perform best when a half dose is given, followed by a full one, rather than 2 full doses. Dr. Dean Blumberg, an expert on infectious diseases at the University of California, doesn't think the vaccine will be delayed.
Both groups it was effective, so I think this would be considered fine-tuning the dosage, and you could go forward with either of those groups. I mean, obviously you'd probably want to go forward with the half-dose group. There's 2 advantages to that. One, it appears to be more effective, and the second is then that stretches the vaccine supply.
The NHS in England is to pilot a new blood test designed to detect more than 50 types of cancer at an early stage. More than 140,000 patients will be offered the tests. The Argentine football legend Diego Maradona has been buried in a private ceremony on the outskirts of Buenos Aires. His death at the age of 60 has triggered a huge outpouring of public grief in Argentina. Brenda Elsie, an expert on Latin America, says Maradona transcended his sport partly because he rose to stardom at a time when the region was undergoing big political changes.
He was seen as really anti-authoritarian. He made it clear that he was going to rebel against, anybody and everybody. And that really captured a hopeful spirit for Argentina. And I think a lot of Latin America and the global South saw themselves in what Argentina was experiencing at that particular moment.
A computerised doctor's assistant and technology to detect cancer early are among the artificial intelligence project sharing £20 million in new government funding. Ministers say research into AI will help Britain meet some of today's most pressing challenges. Here's our science reporter, Paul Rincon.
The government money will be shared between 15 AI projects being run at UK universities which have been awarded Turing Fellowships, named after Alan Turing, the wartime mathematician regarded as a pioneer in this field. One of the winning proposals aims to predict the development of cancer before it is fully formed in the body. Another will create a doctor's assistant that could recommend treatments. But other projects could have applications in areas as diverse as finance, energy and weather forecasting.
That's our science reporter, Paul Rincon. That's the BBC News at 4:03.
The man from Stevenage comes across the line, wins the Turkish Grand Prix and becomes the most successful Formula One driver of all time. Equals Michael Schumacher's World Championship record with 7. He has the most wins, he has the most pole positions, and the British driver is the greatest Formula One driver of all time.
That's for all the kids out there who dream the impossible. You can do it too, man. I believe in you guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support.
The Driver Championship may be settled, but with 3 races left, pride and prestige are still at stake. Next, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Full race commentary from 2 p.m. on Sunday.
On 5 Live Sports Extra. Across the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live with Dotun Adebayo.
I do love that comment from Lewis Hamilton there on becoming the greatest Formula One driver ever, and saying, for all you kids out there who dream the impossible, you can do it too. Isn't that so inspirational? Every time I hear it, it lifts me up, even though I'm not as much of a kid as I used to be. But I still dream, we still dream. We still dream, don't we? Those of us who have vintage or veteran era, we don't stop dreaming. And thank you for all your emails about overnights at Christmas. Please, 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 Phil. Got to have live broadcast over Christmas period, says Anne in Aberdeenshire. Christmas is going to be difficult for many people this year. I'm sure live radio will be appreciated by most of us, says Sue in Preston. This is from Dawn, who is in Leicestershire. Christmas Day, sing along with Dot and Bob Marley. Baby, don't worry about don't worry. This is my Christmas carol. About a thing, 'cause every little thing's gonna be alright. Bob Marley sang much better. It's a Christmas carol. If I had the whole team singing along with me as well, it would sound brilliant. You barely be able to hear my voice. That's what Christmas carol singing is all about. And Paul says, good morning, Don. Please count this as another message for sport for broadcasting live over Christmas, assuming you're up for it, and hope you're not in the gloop. The world needs more of that Maverick instinct in yours. Maverick, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. We've got Carol in Kent, and thank you for waiting patiently, Carol. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you very much. But Christmas isn't just about presents, you say? That's news to me.
It isn't. It's a Christian festival, which has been, over the years, escalated up to being just a party for everyone. There are still some of us who believe that Christmas is Christmas and we go to church, and there are lots of people who will go to church at Christmas, but not any other time of the year.
That's very true. The churches are packed out at Christmas, and particularly for sort of like midnight mass and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, we've had to sort out. We usually have a carol service at 5:30 on Christmas Eve, which is carols by candlelight. We get 500-600 people. Well, we can't have it this year.
No.
Because we'd have to have 5 services, and there's no way we can do that.
For the obvious reasons.
The people.
Yeah, for the obvious reasons. And you don't want to be the source of, no church wants to be the source of infections. But
no.
Can you imagine how packed to the rafters those churches will be next Christmas, or maybe even before that, when the pandemic, we put a full stop to it and declare ourselves, as the Australian state of Victoria has managed to do, that they are pandemic free. And then you allow people to go back, and I think people will be gasping for the Christian aspect of life and the spiritual aspects, whatever religion you come from as well. But in terms of Christmas, in the respect that you're talking about it, when most people look at it as something different, does that upset you that they're not looking at it as a Christian festival? Because the majority of people, as you've denoted, they think, well, it's a big party.
No, it doesn't upset me. We pray for people that they may understand why Christmas is there, how it started, how it's happening, and just, let them come to church. We are actually having we had services until a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully next week we'll be able to start back at church again.
Because I think it's the church's fault. If they haven't been doing their job, if it's a Christian festival and people don't associate it as such, well, then the church hasn't been doing its job. And so people think, well, let's take and do something else with it. Because if the church had been doing its job, everybody would know, let's not mess with that because that is a Christian festival.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Christian festival, and a lot of people do understand, but have other events that they would rather do. If we're going to Granny's, we're going to Granny's or whatever.
Will it still be Christmas, though, without the Christian aspect of it, or without the church aspect of it? It won't be Christmas.
It wouldn't for me. No, it wouldn't for me.
So what are you going to be doing this year?
Well, I should be there for the midnight service. The week before, I'll be there for 9 lessons and carols. I'll be there for the midnight service. And for the 10 o'clock half past 10 Christmas morning, when we have a cake and light a candle and sing Happy Birthday to Jesus.
Happy Birthday to Jesus. You actually sing what?
We do sing that. That's the first. Yeah, we have a Christmas carol to start with, and then the service starts, and we will sing Happy Christmas.
But not the Stevie Wonder version of Happy Birthday. You do the traditional.
No. Just the traditional one.
Really? It's an easier one to sing, actually. The Stevie Wonder one's a little bit too convoluted.
You can come and sing with us.
Are you sure about that?
I'm absolutely 100% certain. You will be very, very well.
I'm not sure if Jesus will be as happy.
Yes, he will. Everyone is accepted.
Yeah. And thank you for that. I really appreciate the invite as well. I really appreciate it, Carol. And I wish you a Merry Christmas.
And you, and I do hope that your boss is listening sensibly. I'm sure there are so many people who don't sleep and will really appreciate you being there for them.
My boss
and thank you for giving up your Christmas and
I know, I'm not
your family as well.
I'm not giving up, but let me just make this clear. I am not giving up my Christmas. What I'm doing is enjoying my Christmas with the wider family that I'm fortunate to have overnight. Yeah, so I'm not. Thank you. It's the other way around. And by the way, my boss tells me to say he's always. Yes, you did tell me to say that. Don't deny it. He's always listening very keenly. So don't worry about that. Tim is with us in Exeter. Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm very good, thank you, Don. Yeah, how are you?
Very well, thanks very much. Still nervous about the prospect of carol singing, even though the government says, go on, knock yourself out, go and knock on your neighbours' doors and just sing Christmas carols.
Before I talk about carol singing, I think Bob Marley did it better than you, I have to say.
100%. I mean, 1,000,000%. I think most people would agree with that. And
Well, yeah, but it was a good effort.
Bob Marley sang some carols, I mean, they're Rasta carols.
I didn't know that.
He sang some. Look, believe me. I mean, there's a wicked tune brilliant tune called. It's basically a version of Elvis Presley's "Crying in the Chapel." It's Selassie in the Chapel.
Okay.
But also, there are some Rasta hymns. If you go to Rastas, generally celebrate an Orthodox Christmas, so it's like January the 7th. I seem to remember. But
my goodness. Well, Don, I bow to your better knowledge of all things musical, but
all things Rasta.
But
I'm not. It's not necessarily better. Not necessarily better. Rastas will, dismiss me for that, but nevertheless.
No. Anyway, the reason I called in, I happen to have had the privilege of being a chorister at Canterbury Cathedral.
Oh wow!
In the 60s, and you were talking about carol singing.
Yes.
And we used to go out because it was great for us. It was dark, and we were 13, 14, 12, that sort of age. And we were, choristers. And we used to just go around singing to local people outside their doors, not even pressing the doorbell, because we could do 4-part harmony. I would bring my little thing that used to blow, and I'd give them an A, and we'd sing carols outside doors. And the door would open, the lights were on, and it was magical, because we were, and it was only recently I thought how good it was for them. I mean, I thought it was great for us because we were doing it, and it was something, more than just, doing your normal things at school in the evening. And so we got out and about, and we were singing outside people's doors carols at Christmas, cathedral choir school boys, 4-part harmony, and they would be opening their doors and going, oh my God. And we didn't collect money or anything, we just did it for fun and enjoyment. And it was a magical time, absolutely magical.
Wow. I can imagine that it is as pleasurable for people that you're singing for. What do you remember, though, about the songs that you sang? Do you remember which ones?
Oh, Once in Royal David City, Hark the Herald Angels, all the sort of, the normal sort of carols, and we would just start off and sing, and people would come to the door and open up and give us mince pies, and it was a complete joy. Yeah. And we didn't do it for anything. We didn't do it for money or
the mince pies,
anything. A mince pie, wow, yeah, that was good enough.
Of course. And they gave you warm mince pies, I'm trusting, not just straight out of the box.
Oh, definitely warm. Oh, they had to be warm.
You see, this is one of those traditions that I think is very English or British.
Yeah, and I think it is, yeah.
We shouldn't lose this. We shouldn't. Americans do their own little carol singing. I'm not impressed with it. And no disrespect to Yanks, but, you do your thing, we'll do ours. Just like we don't do Halloween as well as you guys do it. So you have Halloween, but leave us, for goodness sake. For goodness sake, I'm appealing to all Americans now. Leave us to do Christmas carols.
They've infiltrated enough, because
indeed,
we used to have Guy Fawkes, and you don't have the 5th of November that much now, because you have Halloween, which is an import from the States, basically.
Wow, it's brilliant talking to you, Tim. I'm all made up now. I feel like I can go out there. I can go out.
Bless you.
I'm not going to be able to sing like you sang, because you were one of the choristers at Canterbury Cathedral. For goodness sake.
Well, it was a special time in my life. So anyway, I listen to your show all the time, and I love it, and you're absolutely top. So have a great Christmas. And, I wish you well.
Well, thank you. And we can talk, it's still a month before Christmas, obviously. It's still a month before Christmas. So as much as I'm very grateful to you wishing me a lovely Christmas, let's talk between now and then. And let's talk between now and then. Not once, but twice or 3 or 4 or 5. As many times as you like. Tim, thank you very much. And by the way, as much as you say I'm tops, no, you really would rather hear from Bob quite something. And it would be an incredible thing if Wampanoag as a culture, ironically, through the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. Ironically, through the Bible. Yes. The document that was used to strip away our culture and our traditions was also used to bring our language back after 300 years.
How hard is the struggle for identity of the Wampanoag people? How difficult is it in the modern America where we hear so little of the First Nation people, if I might describe you as that? How hard is it to make a stance and to claim that heritage and your story?
Claiming our story, it's exhausting. Claiming to be indigenous is an exhausting argument that never ends. Literally from the day you are born, you are made to document your lineage all the way back to the 17th century. You're then made through federal recognition to again fight for who you are, which was a exhaustive legal test that nobody should ever have to go through. And then every day after that, you continue to have to face people that want to discredit your heritage and who you are. They want to believe that we all died off and we're not here today. So every single day as a Native American, you are arguing the point that your family, your heritage, your traditions are still alive. It's tiring.
And when the rest of America celebrates Thanksgiving and you and your nation are in mourning, that can't be an easy place to be. I imagine you switch on the television or listen to the radio, it's dominated by thoughts of Thanksgiving rather than mourning. How do you spend that day then? How do you spend the day of Thanksgiving as the rest of the nation would know it? The day of mourning, as you would say it was.
You know, Thanksgiving Day, the National Day of Mourning, it's a wildly complex day for Native Americans. You have wild swings of emotion. You know, we spend our mourning from sunrise until late in the morning, reflecting on the National Day of Mourning. You know, where we're spending time thinking about our ancestors and what they went through, and their ability to persevere through that to allow us to be here today. After that, we go and have a dinner that looks probably like everyone else's Thanksgiving dinner. Because Thanksgiving, the idea of a harvest festival, is not something that is owned by America. And I realize they'd like to say that it's their product and they own it, but they don't. You know, our ancestors had 4 Thanksgivings throughout the year. We'd have one at each point when there was an abundance of food. And that's a good thing. So taking the rest of the day on Thanksgiving when nobody has to work, you have nothing left to do other than sit down with your family, enjoy a meal, and remember what you do have to be thankful for. And so we do that. We do that, but we also remember what happened 400 years ago as well.
Do you ever ponder, does it ever cross your mind how different things could have been? What America would be today if they hadn't helped those pilgrim fathers and mothers 400 years ago to survive a cold, harsh winter? How different, what would America look like today in your vision?
You know, it's something that I really haven't spent a whole lot of time looking at. What we do look at are the complex issues that our ancestors were facing at that point because of war, slavery, a plague. You know, they didn't have a right choice to make in 1620. They had one choice to make for the survival of our people that would ultimately only last 50 years. But they had a really difficult choice in front of them. You know, to speculate on what the country would be like if they had not made that choice is difficult because I've got a wonderful family. I've got 2 beautiful kids. I have a loving wife, and I wouldn't want to change that for the world. So it's hard for me to speculate what things would be like because it would mean that my family wouldn't be here with me today.
Yeah, what a story. Stephen Peters there of the Wampanoag Nation. The time is